students, good morning. Today we are going to learn part 3 of 9th class social studies lesson Our Earth. And in this part we are going to learn about latitudes, and longitudes. So we are going to learn about latitudes and longitudes. So actually, what are latitudes and what are longitudes? Latitudes are nothing but the imaginary horizontal lines drawn on our earth. The imaginary horizontal lines drawn on our earth are called latitudes. So we have to see the globe, and on the globe, suppose we take an imaginary horizontal line, we have to draw it, and with the exact middle from north pole to south pole, and that middle line which we draw is to be called equator. So equator is the baseline. Equator is the baseline and it is the largest circle on our earth. And with the from the equator with 1 degree interval, and we are drawing number of parallel lines. In this way we are drawing number of parallel circles, and these all circles up to the north pole, and with 1 degree interval, it means it is the beginning line, it is to be called as 0 degree latitude. The same way to the south of equator also we are drawing the same 90 lines from equator towards south, and 90 lines from equator to north we draw, and these 90 lines from equator towards south and 90 lines towards north. So all these 90 plus 90 on the north part, 90 on the south part, totally 90, 180 plus 1 equator, totally 181 latitudes. And in the same way, suppose we draw the longitudes. So like latitudes, longitudes are also the imaginary vertical lines, whereas the latitudes are imaginary horizontal lines, and whereas longitudes are the imaginary vertical lines. Suppose this is the line goes exactly middle of the globe, and from this line, and we are drawing the remaining lines. And if you observe all these lines are converging at poles. See, all these lines are meeting at poles. It means all these lines, whether the latitudes we are observing, they are circles, whereas the longitudes are semicircles or half circles. And the same way, how equator north side, equator south side, okay, from equator towards north, from equator towards south, we draw 90 above and 90 below the equator, totally 180, and plus 1 equator, we told you 181 latitudes. Nothing but parallel lines. It means what are the other names of latitudes? Latitudes are called parallels, and latitudes are also called circles, and of course they are the imaginary horizontal lines. We are observing these are drawn horizontally, and we know these among these lines one line is parallel to others. The same way, these all lines are what? Actually, these are not lines, these are actually circles. So, among these circles, which is the longest circle, equator is the longest circle. And it is also called 0 degree latitude. And then we have to draw here the vertical imaginary lines. Them, we called these lines as longitudes. And so you are observing on the globe number of vertical imaginary lines drawn on the globe. So these all lines and which is the baseline here. The baseline is to be called 0 degree longitude, and 0 degree longitude is also called prime meridian, and it is also called Greenwich line. Its spelling is Greenwich, but its pronunciation is Greenwich, Greenich, Greenwich. So it is also called 0 degree longitude, and it is the basic line of drawing remaining all longitudes. It means from Greenwich line up to the east side, and we draw 180 vertical lines, and in the west side we draw 180 lines, and 180 totally 360 longitudes. And when we combine both latitudes and longitudes in only one picture, it is appear like this way. And I am drawing first longitudes. You are observing. I am drawing longitudes first in the picture. You are observing. And I am drawing the longitudes, and along with these longitudes I am drawing latitudes too. It means I draw both vertical lines and horizontal lines. So in between these, every longitude and latitudes are appear. You are observing different type of shapes here. It means the shape of triangle, shape of a quadrilateral, shape of a square, and the shape of a rectangle. All these you are observing. So these shapes, each part is to be called what? Grid. It means the network of latitudes, and longitudes is called grid. It means you are observing on the globe number of grids are there. So these grids and latitudes, longitudes, why we have to draw? So there are number of benefits by drawing these imaginary vertical lines, longitudes, and horizontal lines, latitudes. Now we have to see what is the use of drawing latitudes and longitudes. Number one, by drawing the latitudes and longitudes, we have to locate the exact location of, we have to identify the exact location of one place, one country, and one state. And we also able to know whether the identifying place is located in the tropical zone or temperate zone, or in the ice zone, polar zone, or we also estimate approximately the temperature, rainfall, and climatic conditions of the place. And that's why it means that these lines are not actually seen on our globe, but these lines, that's why we told you these lines are imaginary lines. And these imaginary vertical and horizontal lines are very, very useful for us in locating a place and explaining about the climatic conditions of the place. And even we are able to know approximately even the lifestyle of the people who are living in a particular place in the entire world, anywhere. So these are the total advantages of latitudes and longitudes. Okay, ma? Thank you for watching. You have to keep on watching and the next coming videos also you have to get more information about the social studies. Thank you. Okay, ma. Along with these videos, now I am going to share you some pictures about the lesson and what about the pictures and what is the importance we are going to explain, and you please observe the picture. Okay, students, observe the picture, and you are observing in this picture, these are called hemispheres, and the first one is northern hemisphere, whereas the second one on your right, western hemisphere, and the third one, southern hemisphere, and whereas the last, eastern hemisphere. It means the total globe is divided for our convenience into four parts: northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, eastern hemisphere, and western hemisphere. So these hemispheres, through these hemispheres, we are able to understand among the continents which continents are come under which hemisphere, and which continents are the hot continents, which are the cold continents. All these things we are able to learn. Example, northern hemisphere, you are observing in the picture, northern hemisphere comprised the North America, Europe and Asia completely appear, and whereas South America and Africa are partially located, and whereas the southern hemisphere, in the south, totally Antarctica and Australia are lie in this hemisphere, and whereas South America, Africa are partially come under southern hemisphere. And we have to go the western hemisphere. Both North America, South America are completely appear, and whereas Africa, some parts of Europe are partially come under this hemisphere, and whereas the eastern hemisphere comprised totally the Europe and Asia and Australia are completely can be seen, and whereas Africa some part is appear in the eastern hemisphere. But if it is clear in all these hemispheres, which is the continent commonly appear, the commonly appeared continents among these all are, one is Africa. If you see, African continent is partially appear in all the four hemispheres. By that we can understand Africa is located exactly middle of the world. Okay, ma? Thank you. Okay, students, you are observing two pictures. On the top, latitudes, and on the bottom, longitudes. Observe carefully. On the top picture, some important latitudes are drawn. So the middle line you are observing, equator, it is on 0 degree, and one more important latitude on the north, 23 and half degree northern latitude, is called Tropic of Cancer, which line is passing exactly middle of our India, and in the south, 23 and half degree, same the Tropic of Capricorn. This is the 23 and half degree southern latitude, and whereas 66 and half degree northern latitude, which we called as Arctic Circle, and whereas 66 and half degree southern latitude, which we called as the Antarctic Circle, and 90 degree North Pole on the extreme north, and 90 degree south pole on extreme south. So these important latitudes, why? So maximum world countries are located in between these latitudes. And one more thing, learn about longitudes. Already I told you, by drawing the middle line, Greenwich line, and we are dividing the globe into two equal parts. One is in the east side, the 180 lines drawing place is to be called eastern hemisphere, and the rest one in the west side is called western hemisphere. Total eastern western hemisphere collectively comprising 360 longitudes. Thank you.